California. San Francisco is non-existent. Most of San Francisco is emptied out. It's one of the rare times I go back to that communist hole, commonly known as California. It's gone like full communist. It's out of its mind. This state is bankrupt because they're incompetent, and the place is still up.
They don't have any faith in Gavin Newsom,
which is kind of funny because he wants to be president so bad. I'm really high on California.
Yeah.
I like how he's like trying to tweet as Trump. Like, you don't even have your own style. What Donald Trump should do is when he leaves the office, run for governor of California. And just take over California and fix it. It would be one of the funniest things of all time if an 82-year-old man steps into the office of governor of California. We're going to fix everything. You've got a problem with water. I know how to get the water.
So here's a man who spent 26 years letting a state build him up from the ground up, then cashed out the second he hit the jackpot, and then spent the next 6 years absolutely losing his mind talking about the place he left. Joe Rogan's California obsession doesn't even sound like political commentary anymore. It sounds like a breakup he can't get over. And the further we get from 2020, the messier this shit looks. So here's the thing about Joe Rogan and California. He didn't just pass through California. California didn't just give him a couch to crash on while he got his shit together. This state handed him everything. In 1994, Rogan shows up in LA, and within literally months, he got a Disney developmental deal. Disney, the mouse.
Okay, Toots, it's a deal.
The happiest place on earth just opened the door for the guy who'd spent the next 30 years telling you everything is f***ed up and that he believes in dragons. Dragons! Shout out to Elephant Graveyard. Anyway, he gets cast on Hardball, then he lands a spot on NewsRadio, then the UFC gig, then Fear Factor, then the podcast. All of it, every single building block of the Joe Rogan empire, assembled in California over 26 years. And then, May 2020, Spotify calls. $200 million. And then, in 2024, he signed again for reportedly up to $250 million. The most lucrative podcast contract ever signed. So, quick recap. California builds the guy from zero. California gives him the culture, the comedy store, the UFC connections, and the second $250 million shows up at his door, he announces he's moving to Texas, where conveniently there is 0 state income tax. Now, California's top income tax rate, 13.3%. That's potentially $26 million savings on one check. So moving to Texas doesn't look like a lifestyle choice anymore. That's a spreadsheet decision, baby. And here's the part that everyone caught. Just a couple years before all this, Rogan was shooting the shit with Bernie Sanders and went in on exactly this kind of behavior.
I'm glad you brought up Amazon. So one of the things that always freaks me out is when I find out that enormous corporations that make billions of dollars have tax loopholes where they literally pay no money. How is that possible, and how do you stop that?
It's power. What is the goal of major corporations in America? It's to be deregulated as much as possible. It's also not to pay any taxes. So as you indicated, you have a company like Amazon, owned by Jeff Bezos. Amazon paid 0 in federal income taxes. And it's not just them. Dozens of corporations paid nothing or very, very little. That is insane. And that has got to end.
Yeah. How is it legal to do that? Why is it legal?
Joe, it is legal because they make the laws.
Right.
You're touching now on the heart and soul of the tragedy of American politics. The American people, the working class of this country, want something. Nobody pays any attention to it. But billionaires want something, and it gets done.
But that's ridiculous, right? And it seems that if you just took away those tax breaks, the enormous amount of money that would come from those corporations having to pay their fair share would take care of a lot of the expenses of all these things that you're proposing.
And then the Spotify check clears, and like 2 weeks before his move announcement, he's on his own show talking about California being bankrupt and the place is f***ed up and saying it's a very dangerous time.
When are you moving to Texas?
The end of the month.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm out of here. This place is
That's
going to blow
crazy.
up. This place is going to sink. Watch, as soon as I leave. Boom. It's crazy. It's not going to fix it. They're bankrupt. This state is bankrupt because they're incompetent. They're not going to become competent if you give them more money. There's a 13.5% state income tax here in California.
And so obviously the internet immediately caught that shit, and the comment section became a courtroom. They made comparisons about Joe before and after Spotify, and it was just perfectly observed. The guy went from tax the rich to I am the rich and I'm leaving. Now, to be fair, and I will be fair for exactly one sentence, it's not illegal to not want to pay 13% state income tax on $200 million. That's a rational human decision, but don't talk to Bernie Sanders acting like a hero of the working class and then bounce the second your personal tax situation changes. Either way, he moves to Austin, buys a $14 million mansion on Lake Austin, and then he starts doing something fascinating. He starts trying to recreate California in Texas. He builds a podcast studio, he calls in every comedian friend he has, and then in March 2023, he opens the Comedy Mothership. Joe Rogan was out there terraforming Texas into a comedy version of the exact thing he just said he was escaping. Except Texas turns out to be...
Drumroll, please.
Texas. And this is where the story gets genuinely hilarious, because within a couple of years, Rogan's own circle, the people he convinced to move, started absolutely torching the place publicly.
Texas blows.
I didn't know that.
So, dude, the second we
Move
ran
back, Shane. Come on. Come back.
The second we ran out of power, the house was 90 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God.
just bugs.
And it's June. And that will go out in August.
Bugs came in immediately. The house filled with bugs.
Let me just say, I went to Austin, and gotta tell you that Austin. I don't know how these people, these Gillises, or these Tyler Fish, or these Seguras, who must be Greek, how do they live there? I mean, it's that city is a boiling pot of evil goo, just circling a dish.
What do you mean? The heat? The homeless?
The heat, the homeless, the drugs, the whores, the cigarettes, the shows, the pork taco, the tequila. I mean, it's just...
It wasn't for me, you know? It was, I hated it. And I was vocal about it.
I feel like
I told everyone I hated it, and, you know, I hated everyone I met, and all of the things that people were doing I hated, and I didn't understand what was going. You know, everyone there was like, this is the next city.
Right.
And I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. The lake is the color of sewage.
Oh, okay.
It's a deep green sewage lake. There are homeless people. This idea that there's no homeless people there
They're there.
is a lie. They're homeless people there.
So to summarize, Joe Rogan personally convinced his entire friend group to pack up and move to Texas. And they all went. And they all hate it. And they're all saying it publicly, which means Joe Rogan is currently sitting in his $14 million lake house, surrounded by people who moved there because of him, listening to them all complain. This man created his own ungrateful California in Texas. Meanwhile, Gavin Newsom has been living rent-free in Rogan's head. Newsom had been calling Rogan out publicly, demanding he come on the podcast, offering to do it on his own show, going to CNN to talk about it, and Rogan's reason for refusing?
I probably would have had him on.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, nah, what are you doing?
There is a fun version where you just do it and cook them. You know?
He'll cook himself.
I mean, that
He'll cook
seems to
himself.
be
All you
already
have to do is
happening.
just ask him a question.
So let him cook himself, dude. I mean, either you believe in your arguments or you don't. If California is the disaster you say it is and Newsom is the fraud you say he is, put him on the podcast and let him embarrass himself. That should be easy. So the fact that it hasn't happened in 6 years of constant California bashing is a choice, to say the least. And Newsom noticed, he went on to say Rogan is the Facebook of podcasting, which is maybe the most devastating thing you can say to a guy whose whole identity is being the coolest, most relevant voice in media. Facebook, yeah, where your uncle shares AI videos and conspiracy theories. And for what it's worth, Newsom's California stats aren't nothing. The state just overtook Japan to become the 4th largest economy in the world at $4.1 trillion in 2024. And yes, the homelessness is real and bad. That's a genuine crisis, but I wouldn't say it's going full
communist. It's out of its mind.
Full communist, yes. Big words from the guy who has people scan their face to get into his comedy club. Now here's the part of this story that other videos aren't really talking about, maybe because of how recent it is, or maybe because they're waiting to see how it pans out. So as we all know, Rogan endorsed Trump the night before the 2024 election. Trump called it a great honor, the MAGA world cheered. And then, by 2026, he's criticizing the war with Iran.
How are you feeling about the President Trump?
That's a open-ended question. This whole fucking Iran thing, man. Like, did you see this coming?
No, definitely. They're just going for an assertion of American power in service of American interests. And then what happens in Iran, what happens in Venezuela, I don't think they care that much about.
Neither thing made any sense to me. The Venezuela thing, I mean, look, they wanted him out forever. At least that one was at least clean. They go in, kidnap him, get him out. This one's nuts. It just seems so insane based on what he ran on. I mean, this is why a lot of people feel betrayed, right? He ran on no more wars and these stupid, senseless wars, and then we have one that we can't even really clearly define why we did it.
Sound familiar? Yeah, that's the same guy who was describing himself as a libertarian in 2019. So he went libertarian, Bernie, libertarian vote, Trump endorsement. The man is on his way to doing a full lap. He left California, endorsed the guy he thought could fix California from the outside, watched that not happen, watched his friends hate Texas, watched his podcast drop to 3rd on Spotify for the first time in years, and is now just mad at everyone, I guess? California, Trump, Texas heat, probably, bugs, maybe, everything. So here's my read on this. Joe Rogan doesn't hate California. I'd go as far as saying he loves California. He loves what California was for him, what it gave him, the scene, the culture, the weather, the Comedy Store, all of it. What he couldn't stomach was California's price tag once he had enough money for the price tag to matter. So he made like a titty and bounced. And the problem with leaving a place you actually love is that you have to keep explaining to yourself why you left. Every episode where he riffs about California, every Gavin Newsom bit, every the state's going communist take, that's not political analysis. That's a guy rationalizing a financial decision he made years ago. He needs California to be a disaster because if it's not, then maybe he just moved for the money and didn't want to admit it. The Comedy Mothership is California. His podcast setup is California. He built this shrine to the thing he left. He surrounded himself with people he convinced to leave it too, and now he's like super committed. Cognitively, financially, publicly. So all you can do is keep going on the podcast and tell everyone California is sinking, even though it's still floating, Mr. Science. Anyway, drop your thoughts in the comments, or don't. Subscribe if you haven't, or don't.